Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Subscription Scaled. I'm your host, Nick Frederick. With me today is Luis Quiroga, who is the SVP of HVAC Strategy and Growth at HomeServe USA. Luis, welcome to the show.
Hey, Nick, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. I'm very interested in this conversation today. I think you guys have a pretty interesting product that you're bringing to the market here, and show some interesting innovation and products that I don't think consumers typically think of in terms of subscription. So excited to dive into that today. But why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us a little bit about yourselves, and for anyone who might know a little bit more about HomeServe USA.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So as you mentioned, I'm Luis, and I'm part of the HomeServe HVAC organization. My background is in technology, and for the last 10 years, I've worked in various types of subscription businesses. And having that background was something that I really thought would be an interesting component to what we're doing at HomeServe. For the last 3 years, I've been working on product development efforts to really bring to market new clean energy technologies and solutions around electric vehicles, energy efficiency. But HVAC really was where we spent a lot of time really looking at what can we do that's disruptive and innovative in the HVAC space to really create value for our utility partners and ultimately the consumer. Just a bit on who HomeServe is. For those of you that don't know, HomeServe is a leading player in home repair and maintenance services, as well as providing residential heating and cooling, installation and repair services. We partner with energy and water utilities throughout the United States to offer our services as repair plans that we market to their homeowner customers. And we also have HVAC centers throughout the United States that customers can reach out to for getting quotes, estimates for new air conditioners, furnaces, what have you, and as well as allowing us to repair those, maintain those directly for the customers. So that's really our kind of our business model in a nutshell.
Okay. Can you go a little bit deeper into maybe some of the specific products that HomeServe offers? I know, good old Tom Ruson's been showing up on the TV these days, so I think the HomeServe name is getting some more national recognition. But again, talk to us a little bit about kind of what those core products are.
Yeah, happy to do that. A lot of what we offer are repair plans that help with emergencies, such as sewage lines being backed up, or leaks in plumbing lines, or exterior water lines. We also offer electrical line coverage, external, internal gas line coverage. So we really fundamentally give you a peace of mind value proposition. Should anything go wrong with any of those core systems in your home, we can send somebody immediately to repair those. We've extended that into equipment. So we cover HVAC equipment, water heaters, heat pumps, furnaces, air conditioners. We also cover appliances. And actually last year, I'm already in 2023. In 2022, we actually launched consumer electronics protection. So this is to cover tablets, phones, TVs. So we really are trying to provide a broader peace of mind value proposition to homeowners, and we're starting to work with renters as well.
That's amazing. So really giving homeowners that peace of mind that if anything goes wrong inside the house, any of the mechanical things like that, they're going to have it covered, right? And going to get that taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. We are very much trusted by our customer base. We have very high star ratings, and we take pride in the service we deliver to customers. So we want to be the company when something goes wrong in your home, you call HomeServe and you'll know that we have your back and we'll do a great job addressing the issue.
Yeah. So pretty clear right there, right? These insurance products are kind of subscription by nature, have these ongoing relationships with your customers. But let's talk about how you are starting to expand that specifically into the HVAC space and thinking about subscription in maybe ways that consumers typically wouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. So earlier in 2022, we launched the HomeServe Advantage program. The HomeServe Advantage program is an HVAC subscription that allows customers to enjoy both home comfort and energy savings, while HomeServe owns all the headaches and hassles that come with ownership, such as repairing it, maintaining, and really making sure the equipment is running at its peak performance. What we basically do is we simplify the customer experience by, again, removing these hassles and pains people typically have to deal with when their equipment doesn't work. And it always happens in the coldest day in the winter, the furnace fails, or in the hottest day in the summer, the air conditioner fails. Yeah. That creates a really terrible homeowner experience. So we want to be there with a service that makes sure that those things are going to happen through the quality of the installation that we do, the quality of the services we provide, and maintain the equipment. And if something happens, we're going to be there right away to repair it. So fundamentally, the way the program works is customers enroll in the program. We provide equipment, services, a one fixed monthly payment that is really provides everything you need to ensure that system is working top notch whenever you need it. This is structured using a lease vehicle in case they're more the technical people that want to understand how we do this. So it's fundamentally a lease program where we provide the equipment, and in the lease contract, we agree to provide a series of services throughout the life cycle. And what we include today are repair, maintenance, replacement. Should the equipment not be repairable, we'll replace it. And that's a unique differentiator because there aren't really any warranties or insurance plans that really offer full system replacement. We will do that because we stand behind it. And we also incorporate energy efficiency capabilities like a smart thermostat, energy saving service, because we fundamentally believe that we want to drive high efficiency equipment, heat pumps, and we want you to make sure you can take advantage of the savings you would get relative to your utility bill so that your total out of pocket ideally is lower.
Yeah. Wow. So over the life of this arrangement, and I assume there's some term here, and it'd be term of the arrangement that we should dive into, but with a more efficient system, especially with how far that technology has come, would you say that the average consumer would actually over the term pay less than they would have otherwise?
From a utility perspective, utility bill?
Yeah, I guess an all-in total cost of ownership.
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question in a wholesale way, but generally speaking, if people are going from old inefficient equipment to the latest and greatest efficiency equipment, there's probably going to be some savings there, because if you look at sort of what's happening out there, gas prices are going up, electric rates are going up, so any efficiency you can drive materializes in actual dollar savings on a monthly basis. And as I mentioned, what we're trying to do is make sure that we offer this program from an energy savings lens. So we make sure that the system is up and running at its peak potential, its peak performance. We also include air filters, which we change out annually when we do a maintenance inspection on the system. And changing air filters is important to make sure the system is performing at its peak performance all the time. So we really are really conscious to make sure that the customer is not only having comfort that they want, but we're trying to help them also be pretty clean and energy efficient.
Wow. So if you're talking about obviously the equipment, which is the biggest part of it, but the maintenance, the filters, the efficiency, all of that, what they're really paying for in the end is the comfort, right? They're paying for the air conditioning, they're paying for the heating. You guys, it sounds like, other than perhaps the gas or the electricity, are pretty much taking care of everything else.
Yeah, and I would say, yes, I believe it's comfort, but it's also, I think, convenience and peace of mind. Because what we're fundamentally saying is, hey, anything happens, just call us. We're going to take care of it. So no matter what the issue is, if you can't figure out how to use a thermostat app, if you don't know how to switch out your air filter, if something is not heating correctly, if the system's not cooling fast enough, just call us and we'll take care of it. Because at the end of the day, the commitment that we make to the customer is we want to ensure and guarantee your comfort.
Yeah. So I think I'm trying to think about how to frame this up, because this is different than I think what, again, consumers would even typically think about when it comes time to, repair that or replace that old system that they might have. We're starting to see things like car subscriptions become more prevalent now, right? Where it's, customers or consumers do know leases, right? They're familiar with that concept, but the car subscriptions of Finn and Volvo and Ford and others that have come out, they're taking they're trying to, I think, do something similar with that peace of mind that says, okay, this is insurance, this is repairs, this is, of course, the cost of the vehicle itself. You pay for gas, we got everything else. And it sounds like that's similar concept to what you guys are bringing to market here as well.
Yes, I believe so, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create a better experience. And in the parallel to the automotive world, which you've made, which I think is a really interesting one, there's sort of a dynamic of lifestyle with vehicles and preferences and choice that I think the subscription model really helps. Because if you look at whether it's Porsche or some of the Tesla subscriptions, they're really about giving you that flexibility, maybe switch vehicles all the time, and really meet that need perhaps to have that lifestyle chosen and what kind of vehicle I want to drive today as a bachelor or when I'm married, when I have kids. It gives you that flexibility, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about big gray boxes that sit in your basement. So it's not it's not the sexiest thing, but it is almost like the heart of your home. Because if you think about it, if you can't manage the comfort in your home, it's almost like something is void and missing. And it certainly creates a very uncomfortable environment for you and your family. So we're also, in doing this, I think bringing to light how critical that system is. Most people recognize it's critical when it doesn't work, unfortunately. But what we're trying to say is, hey, no, this is something that's really important to your home and your home comfort. And we believe by addressing a lot of the pain points in the ownership experience, we can really provide really good value to the customer by integrating all these components together for, again, one low monthly payment.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little bit more about how you are bringing this to market, how you're educating customers, how I'm assuming you're working with utility partners or HVAC partners as well to have them sell this subscription service. How do you show people that there's a different way than what they would typically think of when it comes time to replace those systems?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So it's a very nascent market today. I would say if you want to look to a corollary about leasing HVAC equipment, you would probably go to Canada. In Ontario province, there are close to 2 million water heaters that are leased today.
Really?
So there's really that leasing culture. Okay. In the U.S., there's probably about 200,000 to 300,000 HVAC systems that are on lease, as well as water heaters. So we're sort of a little behind, I guess, our northern neighbor in that regard. It's a relatively kind of new thing in the U.S. right now. The way we sort of tackle it is we've really focused on driving awareness and implementing lead generation marketing with the goal to really drive appointments for comfort advisors, who are the people that come into the home and do that consultative sales process with the customer. We don't use words like subscriptions. We really focus on the fact that we're putting together a robust package of services that includes equipment. Okay. I think it's a better way to describe what it is. If you go to subscription, you're going to lose people because it's such a new category.
Yeah.
And as you alluded, one of our priorities is really to partner with utilities to bring HomeServe Advantage to the marketplace. We actually have a couple of live programs today in the state of New York, where we've partnered with utilities who have very specific energy efficiency goals, electrification goals. In this case, they both want to drive heat pump adoption. Heat pumps, unfortunately have a name that very much feels like it narrows this to heating, but they're actually cooling equipment as well. Mm-hmm. So part of what we're helping them is figure out how to really drive that extra adoption, how to really get consumers over the edge to really consider this kind of cleaner technology. And what we're finding in these pilots is that when we're able to sort of integrate services, integrate the utility bill savings elements and show the total equation, it's a way to sort of abstract away from the technical parts of a heat pump to really talk about the value and the benefit to the consumer. And so we're actually having a lot of success in driving some of these technologies into homes in those pilots. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have an HVAC business. So we have HVAC centers throughout the United States. So we want to drive business. We want to get those centers to have customers reach out to them. So we do a lot of demand generation marketing as well to reach directly to consumers.
Okay. So are you primarily relying on situations where the consumer is looking to replace the system, or are you also trying to target customers that it's out there, it's working, it might be old and might be inefficient, but getting them to say, hey, you don't have to go out and spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a new unit. We have this service, here's a monthly price, and can kind of even convince those types of consumers that this is a good option as well?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And that's one that's, tricky to answer in this podcast, because it's really a very in-depth kind of conversation about marketing. But the way to think about it is customers have a life journey with their equipment. When it's new equipment, there are different needs. When it's middle-aged equipment, there's a different set of needs. And when they're end of life, there's even other needs such as installs, et cetera. So what we do from a marketing perspective is try to create a set of offers to target each of those segments of the population. Whether the equipment is middle-aged, we really want to think about how a tune-up or maintenance job or on-demand services can be of assistance. Newer equipment, maybe we want to offer one of our repair plans that we talked about earlier in the conversation. And obviously, when we're end of life, we want to talk about installation and advantage and the benefits of advantage in terms of helping you become a more energy resilient and energy efficient home.
Okay. So you are primarily targeting consumers with equipment that's at end of life for advantage.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
The great part is if we come into the home to do a tune-up in middle life, now we've created a relationship with the customer.
Sure.
So we know about them, we know their equipment, we will know the age of life of the equipment. So we'll be able to market to them in the future once we feel it's ready for them to have the right offer.
Yeah. So then you've been in market with this for, I assume, a little less than a year. What are you seeing in terms of, that education process, the sign up process, enrollment, getting customers interested in it? What have you guys learned so far about what it takes to educate them, show them the advantages of the program, no pun intended, and then get them to say that, yeah, this is a type of arrangement, because this is a long-term arrangement, right? I assume, this isn't something you can sign up for a year or two. This is a longer-term arrangement that, they're willing to make that sort of a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now the term is 10 years. So it is a 10-year commitment. It's a 10-year relationship, as we like to think about it at HomeServe. There's a lot that's gone into this, but I'll give you one really critical insight for us that has sort of been an important mental model to get past as we think about how do we really want to grow this with consumers. And that is this notion of ownership. So it's interesting. We did some consumer research work, and we reached out to homeowners and we asked, hey, how important is it to own your HVAC equipment? And immediately 93% of people, said it's very important to own my HVAC equipment.
Okay.
And so as a baseline, then we asked, well, what if we were to take away all the pain points of ownership, all the hassles, all the costs, and just really focus on giving you a convenient experience? And the trade-off you're making is you're going to pay a little bit more money, but somebody else is going to own it. Somebody else is going to manage it, and somebody else is going to make sure your comfort is up to par. 57% of the people that said it's important for them to own it said they would consider it.
Really? Okay.
So what's interesting about that is I think it's getting through this notion that even that's this big great thing in your basement or in your attic, people probably have this natural tendency to think that they own it. It's part of their house. It's connected to their house. It sort of makes sense. But I think it's getting past this notion that perhaps you don't need to own it. And in fact, somebody else can own it and do a better job to give you more comfort and more convenience in your life and really simplify your life. So that's really sort of been a key insight that we've been working through and navigating in terms of how we offer the program, how we position it. And the reality is it's not going to be for everybody, right? Is some people are going to be dead set on owning, and we still want to do business with them. And so we offer different models and different payment options that they want to pay cash, loan, et cetera. Obviously, we'll take care of that. But we think there is going to be a sizable segment where this is going to be an appealing value proposition. So part of what we're doing is we're honing in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's plenty of data out there that supports this, and I'm speaking very generally, but older generations tend to want to own things, right? That's how they were brought up. That's something that they're very comfortable with. But younger Gen Zs, millennials, I mean, they care far less about ownership than some of the older generations, and all of those younger consumers are coming into home ownership now, right? And they want a home that works. They want an HVAC that works. They care less about owning that box, that's in the basement or the attic, right?
I think you're spot on, Nick. I think there's a lot of that, which again, I'll sort of talk about as people that are willing to pay for that convenience, pay a premium for that convenience. I think there's also people that fundamentally care about, being more efficient and being able to save money on their utility bills that I think we can also address. And I think there's people that are more financially savvy that may look at this and say, I can pay the cash for the system, or maybe I can invest that instead and pay for this offering, which again includes all the costs of repairing and maintaining throughout the life cycle of the system. So perhaps investing in may be a better option for me. So I think as you begin to peel the onion, there's sort of subtle reasons why different segments will find this appealing. Yeah.
I have to believe that the major obstacle that people are going to have mentally, or at least a question they're going to have, is what happens when my life changes, I need to sell the house, or for whatever reason, I now want to own the equipment. What outs do they have, or are they fully committed for this 10-year period?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Advantage program has flexibility in mind. We recognize that people are going to make different life choices. So you can choose to own the equipment at any time.
Okay.
So the contract, you can buy it out at any time. So there's what we call an end of contract fee. Okay. At that point, it's yours. The services stop because you're no longer on the membership, but you own the equipment. If you decide to sell your home, we can accommodate that. We can transfer the lease contract to the new homeowner, or if you prefer, you can pay out the system and roll the costs into the sale of the home. You can choose to continue the services past the 10 years. It doesn't end on 10 years. You can choose to keep going and continue to get all the services that we provide. And of course, what we'd love to be able to do is when you're due for your 10-year term, upgrade and renew with us, and let's put you in the next great piece of equipment to ensure you have optimal comfort and energy savings.
Right. I have to believe, we're now living in this age where every business wants repeat customers, loyal customers, engaged customers, that this type of subscription of a very critical home component sitting right there, there's no question they're not calling anybody else to ever repair that thing. Once it's installed, they're obviously coming back to you. I mean, as you grow this business, this really does a lot, to the health of your own business, right? Building up this block of customers where they're not going anywhere, right?
Absolutely. That's why I said this is a 10-year relationship for us. This is the way we see it. It's our opportunity to continuously wow the customer and ensure we're delighting them with the experience, and fundamentally making sure we live up to the promise, which is to ensure you have that comfort year round. Yeah.
Can this, and do you have plans for, maybe you don't want to talk about it yet, to expand this beyond HVAC? I mean, water heaters, that sure makes a heck of a lot of sense, or other home appliances. Can you see this expanding into those other areas as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I will tell you a natural adjacent space would be to look at water heaters, because that's another critical system in the home. Beyond that, it's still early to tell. We're still really early on in the development of this business and this model. So we're going to have our hands full just tackling heating and cooling. And I think we're pretty excited about it, because if you sort of look at where we are relative to climate change and the importance of us reducing our carbon emissions. HVAC systems consume 45% of the energy consumed in a home. So if you want to make an impact, HVAC is a big area of focus. So it's a big opportunity that we really intend to capitalize.
Yeah. Do you guys ever envision the day of a HomeServe home where, you're covering all of the components in the house, all of the mechanicals, even, that of course you guys cover the lines to the road and back, and kind of, just call it the, the complete HomeServe home. Is that the world domination you guys are shooting for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting, it's an interesting observation. I mean, you mentioned Tom. Tom wants to be the McDonald's of home repair and services. Brookfield recently acquired us, and they have very ambitious goals to decarbonize the earth through all the investments they've made. And I think we're going to have a big play to make in the home. So I think we have very strong ambitions.
So last question here. How do you guys get to price? And I assume, that there's a lot that goes into this. Every unit's a little bit different, the terms and all that kind of stuff. But we talk about that a lot on this podcast, about the importance of pricing, and really in the subscription space, focusing more on the value that a customer gets than some sort of bottom up calculation of, cost and then applying margin over top of that. So how do you guys approach this for this sort of product? And how do you deal with the complexities of no two situations are exactly alike?
Yeah, so you're spot on. Every sale is effectively a custom sale, right? Every home is going to have different needs, requiring different equipment and different installation aspects to it. So Advantage today is a 10-year term. So the way we think about pricing is you have the equipment and the installation price that goes with that. For illustrative purposes, let's say the equipment is about $10,000 up front. In Advantage, over a 10-year program, they'll come to about $170 a month, right? And that payment obviously pays for the equipment, financing charges, but it pays for 10 years of services. So let's think about those services again. It's annual maintenance, it's air filters, it's all the repairs the system's going to need during those 10 years. And again, if we can't repair it, it's replacement. So there's a big ticket item there if we have to replace it. And it's all the incremental elements we've added to drive energy efficiency, from the smart thermostat to the energy saving service. It's a lot of different services we really kind of bundle into the experience so that the consumer can really take advantage of that throughout the whole life cycle. So as we think about pricing, it's really about layering the hardware cost plus all those services. And so we have to make some assumptions about usage of services and so forth to really calculate what we think is the right price.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear that price per month, that honestly, that doesn't surprise me at all. That actually sounds like quite a bit of a value there. Again, if you factor in all of the costs that are going to be incurred over the life of 10 years. And I don't believe most equipment comes with a 10-year warranty these days. So, that's kind of an extended warranty almost that you're buying on top of that. I mean, that sounds very reasonable.
And, there are some, very brainy, logical customers run into, and they'll want to do the math to understand if I can get a loan for $130 in the same equipment, $130 a month, justify the $40 difference. Well, we'll show them. If you start to think about your cost of ownership, once it's installed, we begin to show them what it costs to repair it, to maintain it, air filters, and the proposition becomes very, very compelling. Yeah.
Is there then kind of a credit check process that you guys are doing with each of these consumers to ensure that, this relationship can really play out over 10 years? Okay.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, this is fundamentally structured as a lease. So we need to make sure that the minimum requirements to be approved for the lease are there. And we have a minimum credit score requirement for that.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, Luis, this has been fun. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, this product and this innovation, getting customers to think about things in ways, or, these types of products in ways that they wouldn't have typically before through a subscription type service. I love the innovation. It's one of those ideas that I wish I had thought of, because I think it's going to be very successful. So best of luck to you guys and on getting this thing into market.
Well, awesome. It's been a lot of fun talking with you, Nick, and I really appreciate the time, and look forward to talking to you in a couple of years to see.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm sure there's going to be some lessons learned along the way, so that'd be great. If anybody listening today wants to learn more about the program, or maybe ask you some questions about what you guys are doing, where can they go? Yeah,
I think HomeServe.com is certainly a great place, or that people can reach out to me directly via LinkedIn. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to provide information in the podcast materials, but LinkedIn is a great way to reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, again, appreciate the time today, Luis, and thanks for all the insights you shared.
Awesome. Well, thank you again very much. Have a great 2023.
Thank you as well.